G'day team, hope you're going well. Yeah, we've into the weekend again. A little bit of rain floating around, not a lot. It's got sort of pretty cold and miserable, and yeah, so wind's quite cold and odd skippy shower coming through. So nothing. The weatherman didn't have a hell of a lot forecast, so a couple of mil maybe. But anyway, this one I've had a few requests. Whether it be new subscribers and that sort of stuff, just for shed tour and that sort of stuff. And look, we just had a look earlier this morning. We've rocked over sort of 80 videos, which is yeah, they add up. You don't sort of realise how many you do, but yeah, a couple of 2 or 3 a week at times, and they add up pretty quick. So I just yeah, with guys wanting to know what gear we run and that sort of stuff, I just thought for the new subscribers, I'd just give a quick overlay and do a bit of a shed walk, and yeah, I suppose what we're about and what we do and why we do it and all that sort of stuff. So I suppose the reason I started this channel was not basically to show, well, it was to show people what happens on a farm. So we've got a mixed farm here, and you know, no two farms are the same. So this is just our piece of the ag industry that I just wanted to, my sort of concern was the city country divide, and you know, people knowing where their food and that sort of stuff comes from. I sort of, my own opinion is that that divide is getting greater. So yeah, I just thought we'd put this together and see whether we can sort of do our part to sell our industry and look how good it is and the benefits to it. So yeah, so for our little patch here, we've got 1,000 hectares. So I'm actually 3rd generation farmer, second on this place. So we're sort of farming where I grew up. My dad came here in 1968, so I'm here now with my wife Sarah and 2 daughters. So the farm's sort of taken a few different forms over the years with expansion and then back sort of, we sold a bit of country and we're leasing ground, but at present we're 1,060 hectares, or about 2,600 acres. Main sort of businesses are winter cropping and sheep, livestock. So wheat, canola, barley is sort of our winter crop rotation, and we have grown corn and rice as summer in the summertime at times. We've got about 300 hectares of irrigation, both overhead pivot irrigators and flood irrigation, and then obviously we've got a bit of rice layout for when we've grown rice. But we are predominantly dryland farmers. So we run. Well, this year we joined about 1,500 merino ewes. We buy all those ewes in. We've got a place in northern New South Wales where we buy our ewes from, and we join them to Border Leicester ram. So we get what we call a first cross lamb out of those ewes. So yeah, so we're located. We're in southern New South Wales, so we're not far off the Victorian border. We're only about 10 kilometres north of the Victorian New South Wales border, but we do all our main shopping centres in Victoria. So we've got a couple of different towns here that we have access to that we get all our farm supplies and groceries and that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's a little bit about the show here. Yeah, if you can be bothered, go back into the very start, and there's sort of a bit more about it. But that's the crust of it. That's the bare bones of it. Yeah. Anyway, we'll have a wander around, and yeah, we'll show you what gear we're running, and yeah, why and when and how. Okay, here we are, in no particular order. So the big orange bin here is Dunstan mother bin. It holds about 70 tonne of wheat, so that's our main paddock storage at harvest time. It's on super single wheels, and we can just tow it from paddock to paddock with a tractor, obviously, PDO driven, and got a couple of roller door lids on it, and then I don't know what it is, 12-inch auger. This front, it's a Macdon front, a D60 or a 2152 case. We got it. It was new with our last header we had. We had a 7088, and it was a brand new front. The header was second hand, but the front was new. So it's a 35-foot front that we now run on our Macdon windrower, which is, or Swarther, depending on what part of the world you're in or country. So it's an M155. It's coming on our third year this year that we've had that machine. We were just having a few dramas with getting contractors and that to do our windrowing. One thing I didn't mention before, we do quite a bit of contracting now. We've got 2 full-time employees now, and we do pretty well all aspects: sowing, spraying, not a lot of spreading, but windrowing, harvest, and also hay work, mowing, raking, baling. We've got a round baler and a big square baler. So yeah, it's become sort of a pretty big beast within the business. So anyway, so that's the front that goes on the windrower. We have had it back on the current header we have now, which we'll have a look at in a minute. We had a direct header bit of canola last year, and with the top cross auger, that just helped that job flow a bit. We've got a 235 Magnum here, front wheel assist. This tractor had about 1,000 hours on it when we bought it. Came out of South Australia, and yeah, it's got about 3,200 on it now. It's due for an oil change. Does all. It tows obviously tows the boom spray, and that's sort of its main job. Does a bit of chaser bin work, and then hay and goes on the mower conditioner and also on the big square baler. Gold Acres boom spray, if you're in Australia, probably doesn't needs any introduction, if I can get it out. Built in Ballarat. This one's a 6536, so 6,500 litres, 6,500 litre, 36 metre boom, or 120-foot boom. Same thing, second hand to us. We don't generally buy a lot of new gear. The bulk of our gear has been second hand, but of late, we've bought a couple of new tractors and that sort of stuff in the last few years. So anyway, boom spray, yeah, pretty reliable. They're pretty basic. There's not a lot that can go wrong with them. Auto shut off. We run Trimble GPS and everything on RTK, so 2.5 centimetre accuracy. Yeah, a windrower, which I've spoken about, same thing. We bought it second hand. It's got about 3,000 hours on it now. Little Fendt. I keep getting the numbers on this wrong. So it's a 516, so 160 horsepower. Loader. It's a cracking little tractor. We bought it new. Time gets away, I think 2019 now. So it's done about 1,800 hours, but it does a lot of hay work, and also because we've got a lot of smaller gear from back when my father, or the early days, gear's just progressively got bigger. It's perfect because we can pull all the little offset discs and little cultivators and that sort of stuff that we've got. Deutz tractor. It's about a 1985 model. My father bought it brand new back then, and yeah, it's done about 10,000 hours. I've spent copious hours on it. Pickup front that goes on the header, so it's Macdon as well. Our mower conditioner. It's got a sickle front or a knife drive rather than a rotary disc. It's an A30S, so single knife drive and a hydro swing. So we grow a lot of lucerne, both for our sheep. Lucerne is our main pasture for our sheep and lambs, but yeah, we also have started doing a bit of loosened hay and that sort of thing. So Massey hay rake, rotary rake, yeah, it's a good jigger. Our Freightliner truck, it's a CL112, I think, 05 model. If you're in Australia, we're familiar with the colour scheme. So we bought it, it was second-hand. It's got about 500,000 Ks on it. Auto gearbox, about 430 horsepower. It's only single rated, but it's a perfect little truck for us because quite often guys can drive trucks, but they can't change gears in a Road Ranger. So yeah, it's basically just put it in drive and away you go. So we've got a little tipper. We did have a bigger Hamlex tipper that we had coupled to it that we used for carting our grain at harvest time, and then we bought this sliding A trailer. That triaxle actually slides out, and we could put another trailer behind it if the prime mover was rated for it, but it's not. So last year we actually sold the other tipper because it wasn't getting used, and with the 7-foot sides on this bin, we can get legal loads of grain in it anyway. So we just thought, well, there's no point having two here, so we've gone back to the one. Both truck and trailer on airbags, so we can load to correct weight in the paddock, you know, within 300 or 400 kilos at the most. So yeah, it makes if you've got someone else in it driving it at harvest time or whatever, I can just say, well, load to the gauges out of the orange mother bin. So they've just got a gauge there. You can see the little mark. You basically just load to that, and it makes it easy for people that, yeah, and you know, you get to town and you're not overloaded. So it's got a division in it, so for loading our air seeder, seed and super, and then go back a few videos, you'll see it, and then yeah, we've got a remote control door on the back here for when we're loading the air seeder. Our sowing rig or seeding or planting or however you want to call it, it's Horde Bagshaw, so it's Australian made, built in Adelaide, or built in South Australia, sorry. It's a 9-metre bar or 30 foot. The air cart, which I didn't mention before, actually a welder by trade. So this air cart we built ourselves, and the air seeder, the bar here, it actually had mounted boxes. So the boxes used to actually sit up on the front of the pool here, and you had the fan and all the rest of it. So what we actually did was we built this rolling chassis and then moved all the metering and the fan and basically all the running gear from those boxes onto this bin. So obviously all this part of it's what we built, and then that's all the original metering and electric motors and wiring looms and that sort of stuff. So we quadrupled and some capacity at sowing time. So that just, you know, we used to sow about 12 hectares on a bin full, and now we sow about 45. So you're filling up twice a day instead of, you know, 5 or 6 times a day. So anyway, that tractor, it's an 828 front wheel assist. Again, we got it in late September last year. It's done about 600 hours. Fantastic tractor. In time, when the Magnum's due to be changed over, we'll change it over onto a Fendt, and then we've got all the same, but exactly the same inside the cab between the two tractors. Vario transmission's fantastic. Fuel economy is you know, second to none. So really easy to drive. The basic operation of it is really easy. It is AdBlue. Both the Fendt tractors are AdBlue, but that's just the way things are going. So yeah, we've had this tractor, haven't had it that long, but it's done sort of 600 hours. So yeah, same thing. It does a bit of everything. Chase a bin or grain cart or whatever you want to call it, work. Yeah, sowing and mowing and baling and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, pretty versatile tractor. We had a 8310 RT John Deere, which is a track machine prior to this one, and very good tractor, but just wasn't as versatile as what that machine is. So anyway, we'll go to the next shed and have a look and see what we can find in it. Okay, telehandler. So we run a Manitou. It's an articulated thing. We haven't had this that long. We've had it sort of 3 months, I think. It was an ex-demo. Has taken a lot of the pressure off the little 516 Fendt. This machine gets used every day. Yeah, just whether it's for lifting or putting hay out or that sort of stuff. It's amazing how much we were using that other tractor. So yeah, but no, quite a good bit of gear. It's a bit strange to drive being articulated and you're actually sitting in the back part of the articulation, not at the front. But telescopic boom, I think it lifts to about 5 metres, 3.5 or 3.3 tonne lifting capacity. So yeah, really good machine. We've been really happy with it. Need to get the windows tinted, just the air conditioning in it is not too bad, but yeah, get those windows tinted just to block a bit of the sunlight out would be helpful as well. Workshop, it's pretty, like most workshops, they're not spotless. Amazon linkage spreader, so we do all our in-crop spreading apart from our ammonium sulfate with this machine. Tony, one of the guys that works for me, he just got it out the other day to start and do a few jobs on it, just replace the tail lights and that sort of thing. Holds about 3 tonne of urea, and yeah, throws to, well, we're throwing it out 36 metres to match the wheel tracks with the sprayer. So we're running a control traffic, well, not full control traffic, but all our in-crop work is done on the same wheel tracks. So just to limit that compaction. Yeah, so as far as our lime and gypsum spreading, we get a contractor in to do that, and also, as I said, our sulphate of ammonia, because it's very corrosive and harsh on everything. We tend to get a contractor in to do that as well. But yeah, no, good bit of gear, got scales on it, that sort of stuff, so pretty accurate. And yeah, we've had it. Yeah, we bought it new, so we've had it for a while. Anyway, next shed. Okay, last one. So we run a case header. We call them a header. Probably the correct terminology is a combine. I had this debate with a guy the other day that was here doing a bit of work. So yeah, we run a 7240. We've always had, since we've gone to self-propelled harvesters, we've always had case. So we had a 2188, and then we had a friend, a mate of mine's 2388 that we hired for a few years, and then we had this 7088, and then yeah, we've got the 7240, which we've had. We've done one harvest with it. It was second hand to us. I think this one's a 2015 model. I think it had done about 1300 to 1400 rotor hours. Good bit of gear. So it is only on singles, but we ran duals last year with the wet harvest. We had these spacers made up, and they're actually some tyres that I've loaned off a mate that we probably need to take off and put back. Our grain cart, chaser bin, snig bin, haul out bin, whatever you want to call it. We built this bin, so it's a gravity bin. It doesn't actually have a floor auger. It's got a 22-inch outloading auger, so holds about 18 tonne, and we can empty this bin at idle in about 2 minutes. So good turnaround. You know, we can just get not quite 2 full box fulls out of this machine in it, so which is plenty. But the secret to it is we can unload quickly. Yeah, into the mother bin or into the truck or something like that. Again, we run a Macdon front on the harvester. This is a D65 front, dual knife drive. It's a 12 metre front, a 40 foot, and yeah, I don't think there's anything better on the market than Macdon fronts when it comes to harvester fronts for harvesting cereals. So hay gear, we run a 2170 big square baler. We bought this baler last year Again, if you've been watching in long, we've got a sort of a single sort of main client what we do, but we did a lot of straw, our own straw and that sort of stuff, and that's something we'll continue to do in the future. It's done quite a bit of work, this baler, but it seems to run like a clock. I think it's done 70-odd thousand bales. But those of you farmers that are watching on, if I sort of compare it to 2188 or 2388 header, like they're pretty simple to work on. Parts are readily available, and they just work. So I'm not too sure how many bales we did in the end with it. We did about 3,000 bales or something, and apart from the odd and odder adjustment, we didn't have any trouble with it. We do have a very good AGCO dealer locally, so that's part of the reason why we've switched over to Fendt tractors. And yeah, we probably should have dealt with these guys before we have now, but yeah, they've been very, very good to us. So in turn, we sort of like to stick with them. So that's where this baler has come from our AGCO dealer, which is obviously Massey Ferguson. And then yeah, we've got a case RB465 baler, so it's got a chopper in it. We do quite a bit of round bale silage with it, and hay as well. And same thing, we've got sort of regular guys that we do hay for. Yeah, so that's sort of the crux of what's in the sheds. So yeah, anyway, what else can I tell you? I suppose a bit of the background, I probably should have done this at the start, but I suppose why I started doing this was just to try and bridge the city-country divide. There'll be people hopefully watching on that have never stepped foot on a farm, and it's just to try and give you that experience of what goes on. So and I suppose where your food comes from, or part of the food chain anyway. So anyway, that's a little bit about what we do. Yeah, keep asking questions and hopefully I can answer them. But yeah, we'll a bit going on in the coming weeks with landmarking and irrigating and that sort of stuff. So no, keep watching along, and yeah, thanks to the new subscribers, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ta-da.